All right, so what I did is I did EMS, Emergency Medical Services, and these are the people that will typically respond when you may or may not have done something you regret. So I'm going to tell you a few stories of what I saw while riding with Aurora Fire Rescue, and it's actually really interesting. Our first slide here is a car accident just outside Buckley Air Force Base, which a woman was texting and driving, and she was going 50 miles per hour and slammed onto the car that you could see in the background over there. And she ended up with a spinal injury, and we had to put a collar on her, and we had to actually move her out of the car onto the stretcher and send her to the hospital. I believe it was UCD Health. And the other patient ended up with a few broken bones and some glass in his eyes. So that was a very real call that I first went on. I believe I was with Tower 8. I was with Tower 8 on that. And you can see the extensive damage of the car and how they hit. It was really a messy scene. The next call I went on was with Station 2 and the hazardous materials team. And what they do is their specialized training is with hazardous materials such as oil spills, gas spills, even possible radioactive spills. And what they do is they isolate the scene so that oil, things that you don't want getting around, are contained within the area. And we responded to the semi-truck when we had the huge blizzard, and its front wheels ended up sliding into the side of a guardrail on the other side, and it actually pinned a hatchback van into the side of the guardrails. So what we ended up doing on this scene is we cut the hatchback open, and we ended up removing all the seats to get the woman out of the van. And I believe the driver was ticketed for not having chains. It was a really cool scene because it taught me what all the fire department does. They do everything from fighting your regular everyday fires to dealing with hazardous materials and even dealing with paramedic stuff. So speaking of paramedics, I'm going to talk about some of the medical cases that I witnessed. I'm not allowed to show them due to privacy, but here's a few. So my first medical scene was a dead on arrival case, and dead on arrivals were really new to me. And this was the first time seeing a dead body for me. Someone that I didn't know who was dead and I couldn't do anything about it. We found her in the bedroom and we mega moved her, which is a mat that we lay down, and we fold them up like a taco and move them somewhere where we can give them better medical care. We ended up moving her into the living room and we began CPR. When we began CPR, we realized that she had been dead for some time before we got there. And after we did that, we inserted an airway manager, which is a rubber tube that will put down your throat or through your nostril to help keep your airway open so that you're actually getting the air that we provide. You can see there what we used is a BVM bag valve mask, and we use that to pump the air into the lungs so that we're not having to resuscitate our own air. We did CPR for about 18 minutes, and we put some stimulants in her bloodstream through an IV, and we got our electrical system back. However, when we got her in the ambulance and got her to the hospital, she already had ceased all brain activity and was living on machines, and I believe she ended up dying. The next accident that I was on was when a racing Mustang was on 225 and slammed into the center where the light rail is, and the person driving was ejected from the vehicle and slid on the pavement for 30 feet, and his body was mangled, all of his joints were messed up, broken bones everywhere, he was dead on scene. What I ended up doing is I helped the fire teams clean up the area, so we spread out a set of powder that would neutralize blood so we didn't have to deal with any bloodborne pathogens getting to the public, and we did end up scraping his body up, putting it in a body bag, transporting to the hospital where they then pronounced him dead officially. This was very, very shocking to me, being some of the cases that I responded to. I know seeing a dead body or a dead woman, anything dead, for the first time was really shocking. The first 3 minutes, I was paralyzed with fear, and then after that, I suddenly realized there's a dead person here. What am I going to do about it? They're dead. I might as well do my job, and we did CPR. This also brings up dark humor with the fire department and general emergency medical services overall. Dark humor is not something that we do to be terrible people. It's a coping mechanism, and it's something that we have to use every day because we do see horrific things like that car accident. We'll end up giving the victims nicknames or we'll laugh at what happened, but it's just a coping mechanism because if you take that death seriously and you're working 20 years on an ambulance or a fire engine, you're gonna not be mentally stable. And dark humor helps cope with that, and it's one of the many mechanisms that we use to this day. And that is my presentation.